Hello and welcome to Beyond the Scale, Weight Loss and Wellness. I'm your host, Coach Monica. I'm joined today by Coach Darcy, and we are here to guide you through the ins and outs of a lifestyle that's transformed not just our lives, but the lives of countless women navigating the waves of perimenopause and menopause. Whether you're here to shed weight, understand your body better, or simply find a community that gets it, you're in the right place. So sit back and enjoy the next few minutes as we tackle the hot issues of today. Hello, everybody. Coach Darcy, it's good to have you in the co-pilot seat this morning. How are you doing?
I'm great. We're going to see if internet connection stays well, but other than that, I'm doing great.
Yeah, this is take two. If
This
we
is
have
take two.
those clappy things today. So yeah, it's all sunny and bright over here. There's a
Yeah.
hurricane in Florida, but here it's sunny and bright. So we'll do take two. We'll do take two.
Okay.
Hey, we are so happy that you joined us today and want to say hello. How are you doing, everybody? It is it's a really good day today. We wanted to do something today, kind of do a little insight and kind of give everybody just kind of a co-pilot seat into what we do every single day as health coaches. And wanted to talk about a topic that is really close and near and dear to our hearts. And full disclosure, this podcast is specifically for women today. Now, if you're a man and you're listening to this, you might want to stay around and stick around because you may live with one of these beautiful creatures, and maybe you'll get some insight as to who we're talking about today. But we're going to talk about breaking the chains that keep us from our calling. This came to me in a conference that I was at this weekend as we were listening to the speakers talk about, what they're doing in their ministries and what they're doing for the cause of Christ. And I was sitting there as a health coach. And by the way, a little disclaimer: this show is a show that we're going to talk about our faith. We don't do that often. We coach everybody. We don't care where you're coming from. We don't care your background, but we are going to talk about our personal faith today. And so I was sitting in this conference and I was getting frustrated because I was looking at all of these people who were living out the calling of their life. And I'm like, God, what are you doing in my life? Why is it that I'm not out there doing amazing things for you? And I laugh about it now, but I was really serious and I was really kind of in a funk and thinking, well, maybe I need to be more vocal on Facebook. Maybe I need to do, maybe I need to do this, this, and this. And I remember the session that I was sitting in, and I suddenly it was just downloaded to me. I started to think about who our audience is and who we work with every day. So, Coach Darcy and I sit with people, men and women, every day. We sit with them through the hard stuff, through the exciting stuff, through the scary stuff, through the health stuff. We sit with people each and every day. And so, as I was sitting there thinking, why isn't God using me? I mean, it's silly now. I think about it now, and I crack up because it's, when you think about what we do, okay, I get it. It was like God said, "Who is your audience? Who are you working with every day?" And so during one session, his name was Joey. I have no idea what poor Joey said in his session because God was downloading things to me during that session. And I just took my pencil out and I started writing. I started writing, who is your audience? Who are your people? And I started writing. And when I started writing, it started to break my heart because we work with women. Again, we work with men every day. But we work with women every day who are not living in the calling that God gave them because they can't, because they are wrestling with literal chains around their arms and around their wrists, chains of food addiction, chains of fear, chains of sickness, of insecurity, of comparison, chains of being not in control, chains of imposter syndrome. We sit with these women every day. Yes, the goal is weight loss. People come to us for weight loss, but that's not really what we do every day. And so, as I started to write out, who is your audience, Monica? It hit me. And I got to thinking about my journey of healing. And Darcy, I want you to talk about yours as well. But my journey of healing, I was literally, take yourself back. Take yourself back about 3 weeks before you started your journey. I was powerless. I was 272 pounds. I was full of inflammation. I was obese. I was stroke level. I was starting to not even be able to see. I started to feel those floaty things in my eyes because of the sugar of the type 2 diabetes. I was stroke level blood pressure. I started to have numb hands, and my anxiety was so powerfully strong that I couldn't look people in the eye. And I was powerless. I was literally powerless to the cause of Christ because I was so ill. Do you remember that time, Darcy? When you think back before, and I know there's some years that have spaced in between that, right?
Mhm.
You're getting your brand new life back. But do you remember that time?
I remember a time specifically, and it was before I truly knew that something needed to change because I hit 30 and it was clothesline. I was clotheslined. Like
Mhm.
I found my first gray hair on my eyebrow, and I was like, I was achy, all the stuff that was happening, but that wasn't the time. It was we were going to a concert with a bunch of friends, and I put this loose knit top on, and I when I got there, I was so desperate to rip this shirt off of me because of how uncomfortable I was in my own skin. But I was blaming the shirt. I'm like, if I just could only have a big poofier shirt to put on, then I'd feel more comfortable and confident in myself. But I, in fact, was living in misery in my head that whole time. Like I don't even know what concert we went to. But because it was so overwhelming in my head that I was willing to just rip it off.
Mhm.
And I think that's what happens when we get to that point of desperation. We're just willing to do anything, and we want to do anything to be able to make our skin feel comfortable and normal again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so turning that age was a big eye opener to me is was the fact that, I'm aging. I'm in my 30s now, and it's is this what it is? Is this life? Is this what I'm supposed to be like now? Like it
I
was not
look
a
at
good
your
space.
I look at your life, and you were on stage at that point. So, first of all, if you're in this space, please know that God can still use you. He still
Yes.
is using you powerfully.
Yeah.
It's our own heads that get in the way that say, no, you're not good enough. Because
Hmm.
unlike my journey, now I was involved in politics. So I was fake it till you make it kind of girl. And I was the kind of girl that masked wounded, my wounded body with meanness and
Hmm.
anger. And I was like, if you come at me, I'm going to come back at you harder. And the anger and the persona that came out was all an act. It was, I'm
Yeah.
going to come at you even stronger and I'm going to be more angry. I'm going to take you out by your knees. So I was mean, but you were on stage on the worship team
Yeah.
during that. Did that ever impact you as far as your gifts and how did it feel being on stage during that
Um,
season?
I've always had a gift of worship, and I've always loved it. I've loved music, but I had to get myself into a point of like, this is not about me. This is about, worshiping my Lord and Savior. And would put myself in a bubble. And I
Mm.
kind of do that still, where
Hmm.
I'm in a worshipful moment and nothing can separate me from worshiping
Hmm.
my God the way that David did. And that is my sole passion right there.
Hmm.
But, and there's a big old but in between. Literally, there was
Literally.
a literal big but. Um, our church is it's not considered a mega church, but there's several campuses, and people look that are smaller churches see it as a mega church. But
Hmm.
they would take photos during
Mm.
services, and they would be up in your face, and that made me the most insecure. I didn't care that I was worshiping the Lord at that time when I had a camera. And so I was trying to suck in my gut, do all that
Hmm.
sort of thing. So it became reality when that happened. But then, I realized the way I presented myself, and it was visibly and can be seen to my co-worshipers,
Hmm.
the people that know me really well for because they've known me for 8+ years in the worship atmosphere, and they see the difference in me. They see
Hmm.
a bigger glow. They see even the strength in my vocals. Like there's
Hmm.
just certain things that have happened that they can just see that I have jumped over this new hurdle
Hmm.
and have overcome it and conquered it, and it can be seen. But before, I was just doing the things and
Hmm.
worshiping my God the way I worship my God. But now there's no holding me back.
Right.
I guess,
Yeah. 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 I think I always wondered when you lose a lot of weight and you're a singer, how that impacts your diaphragm. It seems like it would impact it a lot that
yeah, there
you
is.
you have to
There is.
relearn how to sing almost.
Um, Yes and no. Like I would think that it when you work out and you're working on your core
Hmm.
muscles, like that the diaphragm is a muscle. So you're just improving your core
Yeah.
and able to have better breath and better control with
Hmm.
that. And I'm also a great golfer because of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Side note. But
Yeah.
I'm not great. I'm just fibbing. Like it was more of like I can drive really well. I'm not gonna lie
Yeah.
about that, but I can drive really well. Um, but when it comes to the vocals, it's the diaphragm improved a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I can't imagine. Now, for me, I'm struggling with the opposite problem because I still believe in the things that I was fighting for in the days that I was lobbying, and I still believe all of those things. But because I lost my depression, because the anxiety left, I am a really happy person. And how do you fight for a just cause when you're happy? So I'm struggling with an identity crisis of I do want to put my voice into the political scene. I do want to make a statement, but here I am smiling while I'm doing it. And
right.
I am considering running for office next term. And I'm like, can I do that when I'm happy? I don't know. And so I'm kind of in the middle of an identity crisis now. But to the women that we are talking to this morning, or this afternoon, whenever you're listening to this podcast, you may be in this season of complete addiction. You may be wrestling with, hey coaches, I'm happy for you that that you are free, but here I am over here. I am completely addicted to food. I am struggling with a binge eating disorder. I am struggling with fear. I am struggling with my body being physically sick because I am overweight, because I have abused my body for so long. I'm grateful that you girls have a testimony, but here we are. I've got chains on my wrists still. And
Mhm.
these are the women that we sit with every day. Right now there is a fake movement. I'm going to call it what it is. It's a fake movement of body positivity. Now, let me be clear that we do not support body shaming in any way, shape, or form. And there's no place for body shaming. But I can tell you this. I was not okay being 252 pounds. 272 at my highest. I was not ever okay with that. I could have told you on the outside, I'm fine. I'm a strong woman because I was. I took a 32 year senator out of office during that time of my life. That took a lot of anger. It took a lot of guts. I've almost said another word. It took a lot. Like I was a tough woman. Not one time was I okay. Not one time did I look at myself and say, "You are okay. You are loved by God. You are priceless." I was never okay. I was a very, very sick woman. But right now in the media, there is this body positivity that you're okay at any size. You're okay, big is good. It's this body positivity movement that I I'm not okay with that because I was so sick.
But Monica, go into the details about the letters that you got. Let's talk about that. Like, if it is okay to be overweight, if it is okay to be in the public eye and be morbid, I can't even say that word
Yeah.
now, obese, talk about those
Yeah.
if you're willing to, because
Oh.
to me, that does not tell people that doesn't tell you that the
Uh-uh.
world is okay with you being overweight.
No.
This tells me something else.
Right. The world is not okay. The world is not okay. It is what I found is it is the people who are struggling with weight who are trying to say they're okay. It's the people who are already in that category of struggling with their weight that says, I'm okay. I am just fine. My body's beautiful. The world is not there yet. The world is not. I received anonymous letters that would come into my mailbox weekly calling me a whore, calling me a fat cow, calling me things that I am not allowed to say over the interwebs.
Mm-mm.
And it hurt. Those things I told you now, if I showed you one of those letters after I got one, I'd be like, oh, that must mean I'm winning. When people are angry with you, that means you're winning. That's what I would have told you. Inside, I was done. Inside, I was shoved back into my box and I was lonely in there because
Hmm.
nobody understood that I would look at food and I could not put it down. I would sit in church, we'd be in church and they would be preaching. There would be a sermon about sin, or there would be a sermon about holy living and, right and wrong. And my sin, was outwardly displayed. I sat there as an obese woman with a food addiction that I was not addressing, and everybody could see. Everybody could see the thing that I was struggling with.
Hmm.
And so no, I was never okay. I was never okay. And so when we sit with these women and we talk about the idea that there is freedom beyond obesity, beyond diabetes, beyond all of these things, when we talk about that with our clients, we're living it. We understand what it is like to be completely chained to obesity, completely chained to depression, anxiety, um, chronic disease. And then we also understand the freedom and how to get there. There's a verse, and it's my theme verse of my life right now, and it's Galatians 5:1. I'm going to read two versions of it. The first one says, and I didn't write which version this one was, but it was for freedom that Christ set us free. Therefore, keep standing firm and do not be subject again to the yoke of slavery. And the message, I love what the message says. It says, Christ has set us free to live a free life. So take your stand. Never again let anyone put a harness of slavery on you. That is what we're living right now. And that is where we bring our clients to. And, we personally have faith. We are personally women of faith. Not all of our clients come to us with any kind of faith at all, and that's okay. What we do is we take our clients down this same path of freedom. And you have to understand that there is freedom. You have to understand that if you want it, the key is yours. The key is yours. Now, The tough part is it's going to take you to say you've had enough. It's going to take you saying, I'm going to do anything in my power to be free. And to say, yep, I'm struggling with an eating disorder. Yep, I'm struggling with food addiction. And then you have to make the choice to grab somebody's hand and say, listen, I can't do it by myself. We've tried to do it by ourselves. How many diets did you do trying to do it by yourself?
Mine was more like hippie diets. Let's find the earth and let's use lentils and whole grains and
Mm-hmm.
beans and all that sort to lose the weight and be healthy. And yes, I was healthy, but I wasn't
No, no,
because I overate it.
right. Yeah. I just wonder. I wonder in our listening audience how many people are struggling with chains. And maybe there's one that we didn't mention. Maybe there's one that we need to know about. Um, I think one of the biggest chains that hold people back is the addiction chain. And not only food addiction, but the addiction to convenience, the addiction to being tired, the addiction um, to having a chemical addiction to food itself. Um, I think that is probably the number one area that our clients struggle with, maybe followed by a close follow up of imposter syndrome of, well, she did it. I can't do it.
Yeah. You would talk about, and maybe I'm jumping into this too soon, but you asked the question, who are your people?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That question, right?
Yeah.
I would say for me, mine may line up a lot with what you're saying with the people with addiction, because that's exactly, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you said every 1 in 3
One in
people.
three. Mm-hmm.
That statistic is huge.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that dives along with the people that I am reaching out to, but the ones that I would reach out to are what you mentioned, ones about convenience,
Uh-huh.
because they're overwhelmed with the life of young kids, maybe,
Mm-hmm.
maybe young marriages, the life where they are no longer a youth anymore, but they're diving deeper into this world of I'm actually an adult and I'm getting older and I am now entering into this new world. And so there's this use of convenience as a teenager that just kind of goes into your young 25s, and then you're getting into your older 25s, and then you hit that 30 phase. Like
Mm-hmm.
those are the phases that I think that
Yeah.
I want to be able to inform. I want to shout from the mountaintops like you are letting this world of stress and trying to people please and put
Mm-hmm.
other people first and et cetera in front of your health, and you
Yeah.
are slowly taking years off of your life because of that.
Right.
Um, you are the one that another one of the thing that I put down here is when you ask yourself, who is this? Who am I?
Mm-hmm.
Like I got to this point, but who am I now?
Yeah.
And you've gone so far. There's a probably good chunk of my beginning years of marriage that I don't remember the years
Mm-hmm.
until Mark tells me like, "Hey, remember this?" I'm like, "I guess we did do that. I forgot about that." Like there was years where we're just floating on by, just making it
Right.
and just doing the things. And in the meantime, I'm air quoting, enjoying life and
Mm-hmm.
keeping up with the Joneses, that we forget who we are and who God wants us to be. And
Mm-hmm.
so in that same breath, these moms with boys my age, I see them and I see you out
Mm-hmm.
there. You're doing everything because you love your children and you love your family, but
Mm-hmm.
you're loving them so much that you're forgetting about yourself.
Self. Yeah.
And you got to this certain point and you're cornered in this corner here of what your body's doing is, it's not only aging, But now it's yelling for and crying for help, like, hey, I'm storing this fat because
Hmm.
we keep going through this drive-through and we keep doing this, and it's just a tumbleweed of things that your body is getting hit with in this phase that you now know do not know where else to go. You do not know what the truth is, and how to, if I only had the key to know how to be healthy and what to eat in order to go back to my old self. You
Yeah.
have those questions that come about. I've had I've had moments where like you've said in several things, where I've wanted to laser the fat off my body and just start over. I'm like, Lord, just let me have my old 20-year-old body back. And then, or I could just tell that person, listen, don't eat the crap that you were.
Yeah.
Like it's not gonna do you any good.
Yeah.
I'm screaming and shouting from the mountaintops to tell these people
You
out
don't
there
have
that
to.
are, you don't have to do this. You
Yeah.
don't. It's
I
not a
love
necessity.
I love our coaching team because my passion is working with perimenopause, menopause women. They are at a spot where they screwed up. I screwed up. I'll speak for my perimenopausal self. I screwed up. I missed out on 28 years of my children's life. I couldn't run around the playground with them because I was so obese. I screwed up parenting with them. Now, please don't send me letters. I know God redeems the time. I know He is doing so in my life now. I'm aging backwards. I totally get it. But my passion is helping these women regain their identity because they lost it because they screwed up when they were parenting. They did exactly what you said. They put everybody else first. They put themselves on the back burner. And then suddenly, these women I work with are like, Monica, I have lost my entire life. I don't feel like there's any hope. I don't feel like I have anything to give anybody else because I screwed up back then. And then there's you, Coach Darcy, who comes in who has a passion to stop these young women from screwing up their life and giving away their life to processed foods, to obesity, to type 2 diabetes. And so I love our coaching team because I am rescuing those people who screwed it up. Right? I'm getting them their life back. I'm removing the chains from those women and they are coming alive. They are finding themselves. We had a testimony in group this week of a woman who's lost 80 pounds. She has her life back. She's my age. She has her life back. She is beginning again. Brand new start. And you got a couple of clients who are in their 20s who don't
Yeah.
want to throw their life away.
Right.
It's a
But let
it's
me tell you though, that I feel like this phase that I'm speaking of is probably one of the more challenging phases
uh-huh.
because of the realization that, oh,
Yeah.
there's just going to be a quick, easy, convenient
Yep.
pill that I can take,
Yep.
or I can just work out harder with all the time that they have on. I'm saying this very
Exactly.
sarcastically, with all the other time that they have spare time in their hands. Like,
Yep.
of course, you can do that.
Right.
Um, but then you've got
They're more
the
invincible at that age.
right. They don't realize the scales are still on their eyes, that
Hmm.
they're willing to try everything else first
Yes. They've got handcuffs
before.
on, but those
Yeah.
handcuffs have nice pink feathers on them and they look really cute until they
But
get to my age. And
yes,
then
and
they,
then they get to the root, the almost the root or the bottom of the barrel, and
yeah,
that they have like tried everything already. So that
yeah,
is like the future them.
yeah.
We see this happening, and I just want to, like, I love when ladies that are my age or younger join in on the program because
Mhm.
they see themselves as fixable,
Yeah,
and anybody's fixable, by the way.
that's
But
right.
just knowing that you're getting this at a young age, you're going to not regret
Hmm.
what you're doing with your life and your kid's life and your spouse's life. You're going to be able to have
Yeah,
a bond and a relationship with them in a different way that's not around the stress,
right.
around the convenience, around the addiction, around all these other issues that start to come about at your
Yeah.
age. But
And we want to also tell you that it's not your fault.
no,
It is
it's not.
not your fault. If you struggle with food addiction, if you struggle with an eating disorder, if you struggle with your weight and your and the hopelessness. It's not your fault. We have built a world based around convenience. We've built a world based on the next T-ball game and having it overlap with the next T-ball game and having that overlap with church functions. It's the church ladies too that struggle with this. We have built a fast-paced world. Then, on top of that, we bring in the political side, and we've built in this poisoned system in our food system that has made us addicted to food chemically to where we can't escape. Now, what we're doing now is we are taking a pill to mask that, which, by the way, this week we found out that it is now, tirzepatide has now been removed from the we can't make it enough category, and you're getting ready to lose the weight loss shots.
Mm.
And now my heart is screaming for these women because I know how it feels to want to lose the weight. And I know how excited they are on the weight loss shot um, with the weight loss. And they're getting ready. And many people have not admitted that this is happening right now. They're thinking everything is fine. And when they suddenly lose this shot, they are literally handcuffed by the shot. And when they lose it, it's all coming back. And so we've got a desperate point right now where we have got to inject this community with hope. And that's what Coach Darcy and that's our mission. Those are our people. As I was sitting in that conference this weekend, shame on me for saying, oh man, everybody else has a cool ministry. when when our ministry was here with 911 flashing lights saying, please help me. I am
Hmm.
trapped in addiction. I'm trapped in fear. I'm trapped in this world of comparing myself to others. Please help me out. And here we are with the tools, and I'm sitting here complaining because I just don't have a ministry.
Well,
So,
and speaking in with that, you talked about with me being in the worship team, like and the change that happened. Even though I was on the worship team and I was serving and discipling in that way, like there's something that God puts in your heart. It's in my old pastor, our old senior pastor, he used to say, you just know it in your knower that something's
yep,
not settled, something's not
yep.
right, or you know it in your knower that this is the answer, that this is the Holy Spirit speaking to you, all that you just know in your knower,
You
and
want
it's
you want to know what I
undescribable.
know in my knower? Unfortunately, involves the help of you.
Oh no.
As I was sitting in Joey's session, God downloaded a conference. He downloaded a conference called Woman Unbound, Breaking the Chains That Have Held You Captive. So I know in my knower that women need to be spoken life into. They need to be infused with hope. And they need to know that there is a way out. They need to know that there's healing for their body. They don't have to live with obesity any longer. They don't have to live with the fact of, I'm not good enough. They don't
Hmm.
have to live with chronic disease. You know, all of the women I'm thinking about right now couldn't do ministry, and this is just a facetious woman. She can't do ministry because she's obese and she can't move. She can't do ministry because she is ridden with type 2 diabetes. She can't do ministry because she has PCOS. She can't do ministry because she's comparing herself to other women. Those are the women that I'm thinking about. And those are
Hmm.
the women that it's time that we pour ourselves into. And this
Yeah.
is our tribe. This is what God created us to do. If you're interested in such a conference, please reach out to us. It's in the beginning stages right now. I'm just allowing God to daily download what he wants me to do.
Hmm.
So there's more coming up about that. And you guys are the first ones to hear about it. And I don't know. I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know where it will be. I don't know. I just know that we're going to do it because I am really, really sick and tired of the enemy removing freedom and removing the joy and removing the passion of these women who are bound with the shackles of obesity and sickness. I'm
Hmm.
tired of it.
Yeah.
And I do believe Galatians 5:1. It was for freedom that Christ set us free. Imagine, sister, what you could do if you had confidence, if you had your health, if you had a new mind. I mean, imagine that. I was thinking, I was thinking about something. I was thinking about our new church, and I was thinking this weekend about how blessed I am to be there at this new church and how it is so different. And um, I have to wonder, is the new experience of friendship, of family, of putting myself out there to meet new people and make sure that people are seen that may not have ever stepped foot in a church again. Is that because, maybe you know the answer to this, Darcy, is that because there's something different at our church and these people are unbelievably just nice and it's just comfortable? Or is it because I have changed and I have confidence now?
I actually do have a response to
Do
that.
you? I
I
hope
do.
you tell me the answer because I really want to know. What is the difference between 26 years of having no friendships and being scared
Yeah.
and 3 years of this amazing family?
Now, granted, it could be
I think
the old
so. Yes.
church. It
Yeah.
could be the old church. I
Yeah.
mean, let's just face it.
People are not
But
nice.
my pastor now, our pastor now that's our senior pastor, he made a point the very first time that he made one of his first messages saying, if you struggled with a church and you had problems with it and you decided to leave it, it might not have been the church. It might have just been you not spoon feeding yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I take that as, if we are not willing to do our job in fixing ourselves, drawing closer to God, doing
Mm-hmm.
the things and reading the word, and we have issues with the church and constantly not either feeling connected, not feeling, what have you. You got to do a self check. Now,
Mm-hmm.
when you lose the weight, you do get this confidence. But the biggest thing that I have found is that when I started serving at the church and being a part of the church, not just coming to church and hearing the word and going home, but
Mm-hmm.
being a part of the church and making it well known that I was there at that church to be there and to serve and be a disciple. That is when I'm air quoting again, this mega church that I go to became so much smaller because
Smaller.
I was able to go to several different
Yeah.
churches campuses and know at least five people, and
Right.
they knew me
Yeah.
because of that service.
Yeah.
So
I think
be
it's a little both. I think you're
it's
right.
a little bit of both. Like, yeah, there
Mm-hmm.
can be some really, messed up churches that are stuck in their own cliques and their bubbles, and you can
Yeah.
find cliques and bubbles in any church.
Yeah.
But if you're doing your due diligence to
And I
step
wasn't.
outside of your
Yeah.
comfort zone, and reach out like you do,
Yeah.
like you're starting to be like Grampy right now. Like when I follow you and go to conferences and you're going up to strangers and just having random conversations with them, like I'm like, that's just like Grampy.
I am a new
It's this
person.
new
Yeah.
confidence that you can
Yeah.
see and
Yeah.
you
And
can
I hated
feel.
myself back then. All I could see was the extra, and this is not a right attitude, but all I could
No,
see is
it's
the extra body fat on myself and thinking this person is just looking about, my appearance. And so part of it was I was crippled emotionally. I was crippled with anxiety. I was crippled, and I do believe part of it was the church. Um, because when we left, there was nobody who said, "Hey, where are y'all?" So I do believe that that
right.
was part of it. Not one person said anything after 26 years. Yeah, that could be a church thing, right?
Yeah.
But when I'm and another thing could be training as well. When we found this new church and we found a family and a life and a love here, I told Brian, and Brian did the same to me. And Brian has changed too. So that's another sign that,
Yeah.
okay, it wasn't because Brian's never struggled with a weight problem in his life, but he was like, oh, this is different. And when we found that, when we walked in, we were seen, we were loved, we were sucked into this amazing hug. When that happened, we said, I want the recipe to that. And I want to be that. And so we took training. This
Yeah.
is what you say because our church is 1,500. So it is kind of a big church. It's not a
Hmm.
small church. So when we don't know when new people walk in. And so they trained us. Don't ever say, are you new here? you know,
Right.
because that person's probably been here for 20 years, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Just say something like, you know what? You look like a really fun person to meet. And I'll never forget somebody said that to me walking outside. And I thought it made me feel so good. Come to find out she was new too. But she's like,
Oh,
you look like a really fun person to meet. I haven't had the opportunity to meet you. I used that. And now, so part of his training as well of
Yeah.
how do you go up to a random stranger, you know? Oh, well, I can say that to this person. You look like a really fun person to
Well,
meet, you
that's
know?
a life lesson and it doesn't have to just stay in the church. It
No.
can go
Oh, I
anywhere
know.
with you.
Yeah. You can go to Dr. Barry's conference.
Absolutely. And then you can go to the grocery store. All you have to do is smile and just
Smile.
be
Yeah.
happy. And people
Yeah.
start to see that joy and they're like, oh, well, this
Yeah.
person's not so. It was like the person that took my blood today. I
Uh-huh.
said, good morning. And she didn't. She was like,
Uh-huh.
there was like, she was not
Yeah.
happy. And
Uh-huh.
then when she worked with me and I just was very peppy and
Uh-huh.
joyful, that moved towards her. By the end of our time
Yeah.
giving blood, she was like, "Oh yeah," and
Yeah.
just chatty and nice and kind. And I was like,
Yeah.
"Okay, how you carry yourself and how you
Yes.
present yourself is
It
so
matters.
important. It matters."
Yeah.
Even if you are, have a health problem or not have a health
Right.
problem, joy goes far.
It does. But the really cool thing about being on the healed side of things, and we're still in the process of healing,
Yes. Yeah, we are.
the cool thing about being on that side of things is you do have a chemical alteration in your brain.
Hmm.
You do. When before I lost a lot of weight, I was about 20 pounds. Nobody even knew what I was doing. I remember when the anxiety left. I remember when I felt a wave of joy come over me. So you also, when you decide, I want to be healed, I am tired of sitting in this pit of sludge. I'm tired of it. When you decide you want to do that and you decide, okay, I'm going to do whatever it takes, I'm going to call these coaches, I'm going to get a tribe of people around me, I'm going to do it a little bit into that journey. We see it happen in our clients every day. I know exactly the week that it happens with them because their whole entire countenance changes.
Oh
When you
yeah.
decide you're going to put some consistency into some action, your chemicals change in your brain. I mean, it is being proven by it is Dr. Palmer. And to
Yes.
look at the
Yes.
book. He is proving in his research that anxiety, depression, schizophrenia, mental health illnesses can be reversed when you change your diet. And so
It's so true.
all of these things combined together, you can't lose, folks. You cannot lose when you say, I'm done. I'm done living with chains. I am done. I want what those girls have. That's what Brian and I said when we went to our new church. I want what they have. I don't know. I'm going to do what it takes to get to that. I
Yeah.
want that. When you want that enough, you're going to change. So
And
we want,
then I was going to say, and then that moment in your knower, like
uh-huh.
that thing starts to speak a lot
Yeah.
louder because you
Yeah.
know that you're going in the right direction
Yep.
and you know that God's speaking to you for a
Yep.
reason, but you got to actually listen.
Yep. I know that I know that I know what I was called to do. And when you know it, you're responsible for it. That's the other thing is I know what God told me at the conference this weekend. I hear his voice. I know his voice is very distinct. I know when I hear it. And I also know what happens when I ignore it. And so
Mhm.
if you're being just kind of poked a little bit today because you are living with chains, it's time to take those chains. It's time to throw them on the ground. It's time to say, you know what? I'm going to do what I can. I want what these women have. And I'm willing to do anything it takes to get there. So I
Mhm.
hope this show has been encouraging to you today. We're encouraged by you. We are encouraged by the stories. I mean, we were in group Monday in our weight loss group. We were in there and my cheeks literally hurt. I was smiling so much because of the testimonies that are coming in and the hope that is being given in just our little tribe, our little tiny tribe that we've got every Monday. It's awesome. It's awesome. If you need help, please reach out to us. Go to kmhealthcoaching.org, find your coach, sign up, and let's get these chains off of you. Let's get these chains off of you so that you can do what God has called you to do.
Yes.
Any other things, coach?
No, I think that was a good little snippet of what
Yeah,
without giving too much because
I
we have so
know.
much more to that story.
We have a lot of stuff coming
We have
up, guys.
so much more.
Make sure you're following us because you are the first one to know about what's ahead. So
Uh-huh.
make sure you have us followed. If you wouldn't mind, give us a little comment on I think it's just Apple that you can leave reviews. And let us know if you want us to address a topic. We would be happy to take it on. Some of it may take some research. Um, But let us know what you want to hear. All right. We will see you guys next week. Every Tuesday morning, a new podcast is dropped. So we will see you next Tuesday.
Bye.